So the new Haunted by Daylight event is by far the best event Dead by Daylight has ever seen thus far, and I don't think it'll stop here. So far the last events have been getting better and better, but this one by far has taken the cake. In terms of actual gameplay events, this is by far the most in-depth and most engaging content we have ever gotten, and I don't see it ending here. But it's not without its flaws. Let's start with the good first. In terms of quality, this is by far some of the highest quality content we have seen in ages. If we look at the trend of Dead by Daylight gameplay events, this is the best we have gotten. And I do say gameplay events because stuff like Chinese New Year or summer events aren't really anything amazing. Only the generators and hook change, we get some more extra blood points and we get some cosmetics, but nothing like snowmen or the anniversary powers. I will say though that this event is by far the most complex we have ever gotten, to the point that I wish this game mode was something in part of base Dead by Daylight because of how much it can change matches. The actual visual design of the Void is really amazing and really does feel like you entered somewhere else entirely. Honestly, when I first heard about the Void, I thought it was going to be some sort of like team deathmatch mode where everyone gets teleported in and it would be a mad scramble for survivors to escape, which is what I wish it kind of was honestly, but what we got to is good. The Void is a very interesting place because it can help one side snowball really hard if they're doing good by spawning in the haunts and getting in big speed boosts. I've had times where I can run up because extra speed and undetectable and grab someone or catch them completely off guard because nobody expects the killer to randomly teleport somewhere on the map and become undetectable and faster. It's really fun doing that. Next is the cosmetics. I know it's a strange thing to say, but since they are for the most part free, it's nice, except for a certain cosmetic. And I'm not gonna lie, I never play Night, but this skin is easily one of the best in the game and it's free. I'd say it's on par with the Dredge's winter event skin, but honestly this one is just as good because of how amazing the skin is. The chest piece is amazing, the sword looks badass, and the head looks like the fucking Empyrean Sentinel. All the candy weapons look pretty good too, and honestly I'm really loving Dredge's giant candy scythe. Back to the Void though, I will say I do like the complexity of using the Void, because it's honestly really hard to use for the killer, because sacrificing all of your map pressure to spend some of your Void energy on placing your haunts, which are basically mini Freddy snares randomly on the map, is a really cool idea. I am still mixed on how I feel about them because on one hand, effectively leaving the map for like 30 seconds to spawn a few haunts can be a huge detriment because, in those 30 seconds, survivors can heal, work on gens, set up boons, etc, while you're literally not even on the map, so you have zero map presence. Of course, the payoff for setting up haunts is twofold, as you're not just quickly setting up a trap that will slow down survivors, but you get a ton of buffs out of it when you go back into the game quickly with speed and undetectable. It is nice being able to think of when you want to spend your energy to go in the Void and place down your haunts and get that massive speed boost and undetectable, but you also have to think about if you have the time to go in and do that because of how long it takes and you won't even know where your haunts go. So it's a gamble of where they might show up, if it's in the corner of the map with no gens, or maybe it's in your main building, who knows. Overall, I do love the Void idea, but it definitely isn't just used energy for speed like before, like the last Halloween event, and you need to put a lot of thought into it. And now let's get into the bad, and it's also the big thing of the update, that being the Void. The Void is a very interesting and complex gameplay mechanic that can easily be tweaked to be in a better spot. As is now, the haunts are very strong for the killer when it works, and just alright at best for survivors. See, when you release a haunt as survivors, you get speed boost, endurance, and action speed bonus for 30 seconds. While this sounds amazing, it's honestly just kind of alright. Considering the fact that you will more than likely just top on a gen after releasing 2 haunts, that means you won't really do much with the haste or enduring since you're sitting still on a generator. Along with that, if you have a killer who does an insta-down or you're healthy, enduring really won't do much due to the timer being only 30 seconds. The time it takes to run to a portal and leave will probably shave off like 5 to 8 seconds, so you won't get 100% value out of it, and this also applies to killers. For survivors though, the Void is nowhere near as good as killers get it, as killers get haste as well as undetectable, which is good on the majority of the cast. Along with them getting action speed bonuses, meaning vault speed, break speeds, and missed attack penalty reduction, which shouldn't even happen with the movement speed you get, but anyways. When a killer uses a haunt, they're instantly going to get value out of it by being able to patrol faster with the haste and then undetectable helping them sneak up on areas, whereas enduring isn't useful at full HP and a speed boost won't really matter if the next thing you're doing is sitting on a generator. The haunts for killers are amazing and very helpful while survivors are just alright. Another horrible thing is that you guys aren't subscribing to the channel. Like, come on guys, subscribe, it's completely free and you won't get trapped in the Void. And now onto the horrible, and I have a lot to say sadly. Firstly, let's start off with the portals that take you to the Void, and I'm gonna be honest, these are basically a free chase extender. The speed at which you can teleport through them is so fast that killers can't really do anything even if you teleport a second after them. The reasoning is something I'll call the singularity effect, where after you teleport, you are completely disoriented where you are and you just cannot tell where the hell you are after teleporting. Unlike say the Hag, where when you teleport you're instantly facing the survivors and ready to swing. Then after you teleport, you don't have any context clues immediately. Like normally you can go, oh, I saw them run into Shack, therefore they're somewhere in this area. But when you teleport, you're just kind of scratching your head and have to look around for scratch marks for a second or two and just go after them. The big issue though isn't that, it's the fact that by the time you do manage to catch up to them, they've more than likely already teleported away again. Then after you teleport to chase after them, you have to get readjusted to wherever you are on the map and start chasing again. Then there's another tech that survivors can do, and that's where they stand inside the portal, and because you can't see through the portal, you have no real clue immediately where the survivor could be because you just teleported. So by the time you teleport in and turn around to look and, find any clues, they've already teleported away and you have no idea what happened. Like there isn't really much a killer can do if the survivor has a big enough distance between them, because they literally teleport away to another random portal in the map. However, while survivors are inside the void, they are exhausted and broken if injured while they're in there. So this only affects a certain perk, but like, I just wonder what that perk could be. Like, if there's maybe a certain perk that's taken over the meta while you're injured and you can't be exhausted. I just can't think of it. In all honesty though, this stuff doesn't really even matter for most of the other exhaustion perks, because with Sprint Burst, you're always exhausted 9 out of 10 times. With Lithe or Balance, you've probably already used it by then. So the only two perks that really affect it are Dead Hard and Made for This. Honestly, as killer, it doesn't even really matter that you lose your power, because the loops in the void are so bad that all you need is Bamboozle and you shut down every loop because there's only vault locations. The main issue is, again, survivors just being able to enter and leave faster than you can react and adapt to what's going on. One of my biggest issues with this entire event is the survivor haunts, and not because they're OP or anything, but the fact that they just straight up do not work. See, releasing haunts is the same as setting up traps, where you use your energy to spawn them and hope eventually someone runs into them. A second thing they do is that they give you a very short speed boost that's like, alright, it's such a short duration that you can't even really notice it, because by the time you've noticed it, the effect is already over. But the real issue is that the survivor haunts just suck and straight up do not work. Since haunts also disappear if you go near them and survivors get the speed boost, that means that 9 out of 10 times you will not be able to use the debuffed effect. For survivors, if you run the killer into the haunt, they will be stunned for 5 whole seconds, and this sounds busted as hell if I'll be honest. Out of my dozens of matches, however, as the killer, I still have not even once been affected by this. Like, I genuinely thought it would give hindered until I looked it up and found out that's what it did, because I just have never run into it. I've never gotten stunned by survivor haunts. Due to haunts disappearing when the allied side goes near them, that means that survivors cannot use the debuff effect on killers. Survivors are always the one leading the chases, always being in front. That means that if a survivor goes into a loop, they will instantly automatically absorb the haunt and get the speed boost. For killers though, if the haunt's in the loop, they will run into it first, getting that 15% hindered effect, so it will work then. But since survivors are always the one that are leading the chases, that means that as soon as they go into a loop with a haunt, they will more often than not, have to absorb the boon and they get that haste bonus, but can never really use the stun. Sure, the speed boost is sorta nice, but would you rather get 3 seconds of 15% speed or a whopping 5 second stun on the killer? So in conclusion, this is still the best and highest quality event we have ever gotten really. Instead of it just being one tiny thing, it feels like they are continuously upgrading the events. We had the old Halloween event, which was just depositing energy to get a speed boost, which we also got in this event. There was a Christmas event that gives us places to hide in the snowman, and we sort of get that here with the void. Then we got the loop altering power from the anniversary event, which we sort of got with the haunts. Honestly, this event just gives me so much hope and optimism with future events, because they're just continuously getting better and better and better. I really can't look forward to the Christmas event and what they'll do with the 8th anniversary event, but it will probably be insane considering how amazing this event is. I just genuinely am so excited to see what behavior is cooking, but with that, I'll end it here. Have a damn good one and take care of yourselves. Peace.